Welcome to Jedi Dropouts, your semi-weekly geek out. I am James Moss.
And I'm Ryan Taylor. Yeah, semi-weekly is, I guess, more like it, because, sometimes it's every week, sometimes it's every 2-3 weeks, Yep. Today, we're going to do something that we have been meaning to do for a long time. We're finally going to rank the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
Yes.
For as much as we talk about these fucking movies.
Even before we started doing the podcast, this is kind of something we talked about.
Yeah, we did have this conversation. I can't remember when that was. It wasn't that long before we started this, though.
Well, I've been having this conversation with people long before the podcast idea even came up, before half these movies even came out.
Yeah.
Which, a lot of the movies that I had to choose from back when I first started having this conversation with people just basically make up, my bottom five.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We should probably mention this is a 2-part episode, our first ever, because there's 16 movies. We're not going to include Thor Ragnarok. I haven't seen it, and it's pretty fresh for you.
Yeah, if I were to put it on this list, it would probably just be me, still riding the hype of just getting to see it in theaters and all the press, and
yeah, exactly.
We kind of inflated a bit.
Yeah.
Plus, like you said, you haven't seen it, so we're going to leave Thor Ragnarok off this list for now. Maybe down the road we can just comment on where we would place it in the ranking, somewhere after we've done both parts.
I'll tell you what we should do. We should do an episode of just updates and changes to shit we said.
Yeah.
Go back through everything and take into consideration the new movies.
Hell yeah.
I don't know, next year, I guess.
Yeah, after Thor and Black Panther and...
Man, if we wait till next year, there'll be another fucking dozen movies to add to this anyway.
Yep.
Or not just this, but DC, Marvel, Star Wars, if we get around to ranking those. So yeah,
Ant-Man 4, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
We're not including Thor Ragnarok. We got a nice even 16. So just for today, for part 1, we're gonna be ranking our last place, our 16th Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, up to our 9th, and then next week we'll be doing our top 8.
The coveted top 8.
Yeah. Don't you love those classic top 8 lists?
I do.
Yeah.
You know what? They're so much easier to digest than top 10.
I know.
Fuck top 10s. You only went with that because it's nice and alliterative.
When I grew up, my favorite TV show was Video and Arcade Top 8.
Right.
That wasn't the popular choice, but...
It was ingrained in my head at a very early age by older cousins and people in schoolyard that thumbs are not fingers.
Yeah, there you go.
So I've always counted things in increments of 8, because my thumbs don't count. They're for giving things ups or downs, not for counting on.
Okay, we're beating a dead horse. Let's get right into it.
I just woke up. Fuck it.
So we're gonna go back and forth. We're gonna be touching on a lot of the same movies. I think especially near the bottom, we're gonna be talking about a lot of the same ones.
Yep.
So you want to start it or me?
I can get this ball rolling.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Number 16, the least good movie. I feel kind of bad to say the worst, because I still have rewatched this movie a bunch of times. So the least good movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the first Thor movie.
Okay. Not where I put it, but not far off.
Well, do you want to just go through our list and then kind of bounce back and talk about why? Because there are differences in where we place these movies.
I'll tell you what. You said Thor for 16. I'll tell you where mine is, and then we'll just keep moving through the list that way.
Sure.
I had Thor at 14.
Okay. Still pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know, some parts of it just seemed a bit too, like, campy, and the whole, like, they have nailed comedy in some of the more recent MCU movies. Like, Thor Ragnarok, Ant-Man, the Guardians movies, like, they've had their comedic, funny moments. But I don't know, some parts of the first Thor movie were just, like, almost cringy to me.
Yeah.
Like, how are we ever supposed to find him? Backs up the car and hits him. Or, like, when they turn, like, they're in the diner type place in her lab, what she got set up, and there's a knock on the window, and there's the Warriors 3 waving like idiots, like they're the Three Stooges.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about there.
And it's just like, ugh.
See, my thing about Thor is it's not really a superhero movie. I mean, you got Thor, the Marvel character there, but 95% of that movie is just he's like a fish out of water. It's, you know, it's like Encino Man or some shit. Like, it's not really much of a superhero movie. The only reason,
like, one part I did like that ended so anticlimactically was when Thor's, like, running through, like, the shield setup thing, trying to get Mjolnir back, and he's, like, beating these guys up in the tunnels and in the mud and blah, blah, blah. And this is the first time we see Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And he's up in the little elevator, like, high thing from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, pretty
And he's got Thor in his sights with his bow, and everyone fucking knows it's fucking Hawkeye. And you're like, oh my god, it's Hawkeye, yeah! And he doesn't fucking do anything.
No.
He doesn't even shoot a warning shot. He, like, it's like, no, I'm not grabbing the sniper rifle, I'm grabbing the bow, and I got so excited. And then Thor realizes he can't pick up the hammer. Hawkeye doesn't do his job in, you know, even shooting a warning shot to tell Thor, you know, to back the fuck off. And then you don't see Hawkeye anymore until the Avengers.
Yep.
And I was just kind of like, so what was the fucking point in introducing him here? Like, literally all you did was show him going up in an elevator and aiming at someone.
Yeah, I know what you mean there.
Like, someone who is one of my favorite people in the Avengers currently.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, the first time you even see Hawkeye shoot a single arrow is halfway through the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, you're right, aren't you?
And, like, that just seems ludicrous to me. So, like, why introduce him? And some of the parts, like, I don't know, like, Chris Hemsworth, great as Thor, fucking, the casting, a lot of the casting was perfect.
Yep.
Loki, Odin, but I can't get past some of the campy parts of this movie. And it's so slow getting from action scene to action scene.
Yep, you're right. And
you nailed it when you said, like, the whole fish out of water story. And that can be done well sometimes, but much like the Inhuman series, this Thor movie did not do it as well as it could be done.
Have you seen any of Inhumans?
I've watched clips and lists of like everything wrong with it, and the clips of the show that they show are so cringy.
Yeah, I haven't bothered. I don't think I'm gonna.
Like, Medusa misses with like the super-powered hair, gets her head shaved.
Yep.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
And the visual effects just really don't look great.
No, they don't. As for me with Thor, the only reason I put it above the other two, if I was considering it more of a superhero movie and trying to rank it on the same level, I would put Thor last because it's really just not a superhero movie.
Yep.
But in terms of which one I'd rather sit down and watch, yeah, I'd rather watch Thor than the other two. That's honest. That's it. Just from pure entertainment level. Not that Thor is the most entertaining movie. It's just a little more entertaining than the other two for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
what do you have for your number 16?
For my number 16, I actually put a movie I haven't seen in a while on here. Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2?
Iron Man 2. And here's why. So when I was just looking back over all these movies, before I even rewatched any, I just tried to think about them from memorability, like how memorable each of these movies was. And
yeah. I
couldn't tell you the plot of Iron Man 2.
I could right now off the top of my head.
I know Mickey Rourke is in it. There is a racetrack, and Sam Rockwell shows up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen it a couple times, and honestly, I just think this is one of the most boring movies I've ever seen. It's one of the few in the MCU I would not really consider a good movie.
Okay.
And from my point of view, anyway. Where'd you put it?
I put Iron Man 2 at number 12.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Not that far off, though.
I can basically summarize that movie right now. Basically, there was a Russian physicist who used to work with Howard Stark on some of these projects.
Yep.
But Howard Stark kind of took all the glory and fucking shamed the Russian guy. So the Russian scientist goes and like just basically drowns his sorrows in Russia. But his son, who is roughly the same age as Tony, learns everything from his dad and also becomes a scientist, blah blah blah. But he vows revenge on the Stark family because, you know, they're living it up and being playboys and like fancy cars and everything while they're just, you know, booze fueled and drowning in Russia.
Yeah.
And Justin Hammer, played by Sam Rockwell, is
that's right.
a competitor of Tony's, you know, weapons manufacturer and whatnot. And so Tony embarrasses him and, you know, points out his flaws very publicly and makes a joke of him. And so he, after he sees this guy kind of attack Tony on the racetrack, he busts him out of jail and was like, hey, I want you to help me build my stuff because you built this suit that kind of whipped Tony's ass on the racetrack.
Yeah.
And he double crosses him because, you know, he's the bad guy.
Of course, yep.
But yeah, he ends up being Whiplash. But yeah, I've seen that movie quite a few times.
I was just found it kind of dull. It
That's fair.
It just doesn't really do much for me, and I do think the villain is probably a big part of it. Not my favorite MCU villain, and the AC/DC soundtrack really didn't help.
Yeah, they kind of had that in the first one and a little bit in Avengers too.
Yeah. I'm not sure why they didn't stick with the Iron Man joke and make it Sabbath. I would have been able to live with that a little better.
Yeah, they just kind of stuck that in as the end credits song.
Yeah.
For the first one.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Iron Man 2. What do you got for 15?
Number 15, I had Captain America, the First Avenger.
Okay. Now, see, this is one I knew we were not going to agree on. I'm not going to reveal what number I have it at. It's not in my bottom 8. It's not in... It's between 1 and 8 for me.
Wow.
Yep.
I did not see that coming.
I know this is one we don't agree on. You're not a fan. I love this movie.
The whole, like, scene where he's doing the musical numbers and everything like that, and, like, again, it just takes so long before this movie gets to any action.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's very slow building. Like, once it actually does get into the action, it's so late in the movie that it uses a montage, basically, to show them invading bases and stuff.
Yeah.
It's, like, I don't know. Captain America has always been one of the Avengers I've liked the least.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, as a character.
Yeah.
Like, even before they started making movies for the MCU, I was never a fan of Captain America. And when this movie came out, like, in phase 1, like, I was getting so stoked on all the other characters, like, and this just kind of reaffirmed to me that Captain America wasn't that great. I mean, later movies would kind of sway me a bit, like, in the sense that I still don't like Captain America, but I do like the other Captain America movies.
Yeah. For me, you know what, I'm gonna...
Like, I understand the importance of showing, like, where he came from.
Yeah.
Started from the bottom, now we here.
Exactly, yep.
But I just felt like they dragged it out too long.
Yeah.
Like, the montage of him singing on stage with the Can Girls, like the Rockettes,
yep,
is probably just as long as the montage of him and the Howling Commandos taking down Hydra bases.
Yeah, probably is.
And, yeah, whenever I rewatch it, because I do rewatch it, there's no movie in the MCU that I don't rewatch multiple times.
Yeah.
But when I rewatch this movie, I find myself reaching for my phone a lot more during the first half. It doesn't drag me in for the first while.
Yeah. I'm gonna save my thoughts on this one for the next episode when I talk about where I ranked it.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I'm waiting to see when we put a movie at the same spot at all. I wonder if we will.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like us not comparing our lists beforehand.
Yeah, I agree. Let me see. Okay, so that was your 15.
Yes.
My number 15, I think, is probably not going to be far off where you put it. Thor: The Dark World.
It's kind of close.
Yeah? Where you got it?
I have Thor: The Dark World as my number 13.
Oh, really? Okay. Again, I don't think they really did a great job with the Thor movies. It looks like Ragnarok's good, but the first two just... I don't know, this movie is just really... It's really bleak looking. Everything's really, like, brown and gray, and... I think Malekith is a good villain, but I don't think they did a great job with him. The only thing that really saves this movie at all and makes it not the worst is you at least get some Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston in there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, again, it's a better superhero movie than Thor, but I don't think it's a better movie than Thor. And not for me anyway. I'd sit down and watch Thor before I watch The Dark World.
I'll talk on it a little bit when I get to my number 13.
Yep.
But to counter one of your points about it looking bleak and lots of browns and grays and stuff like that,
Yep.
it is called The Dark World.
Yeah. But, like, I find it looks darker and bleaker than basically any of the DC movies, but that is, like, the biggest criticism of those movies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I don't like the whole, everything just looks brown and murky, and I mean, obviously that's not it. If there was a great movie and it looked like that, then that's fine, but I don't know, the villains don't do much for me, the story didn't do a whole lot. There were a couple cool scenes.
Yeah.
The whole, that whole scene with the ship or whatever that they steal was pretty fun, the chase scene sort of thing, but I don't know.
I feel ya.
What do you got for 14?
Number 14, I have Iron Man 3.
Not far from mine. Mine's 13.
Yeah.
A lot of the same.
They're grinding on each other.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3. Oh, where do I start?
Yeah.
The Mandarin.
I hated what they did with the Mandarin.
Like, yeah, I laughed at it in the theater, and I've chuckled about it a couple times. Like, the first time I watched this movie with Emily, and just, like, the puzzled look on her face when they revealed Trevor.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like, what? Like, yeah, it was funny how they did that, but it was also disappointing.
Like, it's a funny joke, but it only is it's only a good joke in the sense of fan service if you're going to still do the Mandarin and do him well. Like, if they had revealed that and then revealed the real Mandarin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, to have a guy who looks like that, calls himself the Mandarin, but like, this is a series that already has, like, superpowers and stuff like that. Superpowers exist, so it's not like, you know, they tried to pull it off in, like, a super powerless world, so instead of him having 10 real rings that granted him mystical abilities, he was just the leader of a terrorist organization called the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
No, like, there's no reason why they couldn't have had the Mandarin be a guy who has 10 rings that all do different things, like give them mystical powers. There's no reason why they couldn't have had that.
No.
I mean, Jesus, if they were really looking for ways to do stuff, they could have even had one of the rings or all of the rings be powered by one of the Infinity Stones.
Yep.
They could have done that. I mean, there's people with superpowers in this movie, being the people who are infected with the extremist thing.
Yep.
So there's no reason why they couldn't have done the Mandarin properly. I guess they just wanted a pretty boy in Guy Pearce to be the bad guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I think it was kind of cool, like, seeing how Aldrich went from being, like, with the walker and, like, the kind of homely-looking guy he was when he got abandoned by Tony on the roof New Year's Eve to, like, what he ended up becoming, like, this tall and good posture and well-dressed, good-looking villain he ended up being. That was kind of cool. I didn't like the whole, like, Iron Patriot thing.
No, me either.
Like, that was just kind of like, ugh. Yeah. War Machine tested better with focus groups. Like, I like Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
And I like War Machine. But repainting him and calling him the Iron Patriot, even for a single movie, was just, ugh.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, Tony's relationship with the kid when he's in the town, like, that was alright. Showing, like, Tony having PTSD from the battle in New York from the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch. I did enjoy that part.
Yeah. I know a lot of people criticize it because Shane Black directed it, best known for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, The Nice Guys, those movies. And they say it's a little too Shane Black and not Marvel enough. But my thing is that they tried to meet halfway and they didn't really get the best of either. So it's not really it's not really as good as a Shane Black movie should be, but it's not really as good as a Marvel movie should be either.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. It's not one I go back to as much as others.
No, and, like, it's nice to see, like, Tony having the PTSD and becoming more human, almost.
Yeah.
Being knocked off his pedestal a little bit and being humbled by what happened to Happy.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, yeah. But the Mandarin thing and, like, Pepper having superpowers that we never see again at the end. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
I don't know. It has its moments, but yeah, just it doesn't hook me.
No, me either.
And that's how I kind of feel about a lot of these movies towards the bottom of the list, is they had their moments, but they just couldn't hook me.
Yep. What number was that for you?
That was number 14.
Number 14 for you. And that was my number 13. And
yes.
Your number 13 was The Dark World, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I think you said you had something else to touch on with that one.
I was basically just going to say, like, I mean, the villains were darker. It had a less stoogish tone than the first Thor movie, which is why I liked it more than the first Thor movie.
Yeah.
It was far from a perfect movie. It did give us another Infinity Gem. I don't know. Jane kind of didn't appeal to me. But, yeah, it was a Thor movie that was better than the first one.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, honestly, I was back and forth on the two of them anyway.
Yeah.
I had my 8 here today. I've got my bottom 4, which I think are in my ranking, no question the bottom 4, but those could move around quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then it jumps from Iron Man 3, which is a movie that I'm not a huge fan of, to pretty good movies. Like,
yeah.
Because the top 12 are way closer for me.
Yeah.
So that's 13. What do you got for number 12? Or did you already say?
Number 12, I had Iron Man 2.
Yeah, that's right. You said that.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else to touch on that one?
Not really. I mean, I summarized the plot.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool, like, the premise of the movie was good.
Okay.
The whole, like, you know, the Russian scientists being, you know, scorned by the Starks and then wanting revenge because of that, and Mickey Rourke looked pretty menacing with all those prison tattoos and everything like that. It's just, I don't know.
I just realized that Iron Man 2 is the Rocky of Marvel movies. I mean, I think the comparisons are pretty clear there, except well, Iron Man comes out on top, but I think this is where we're going to start to disagree quite a bit. And I think
That's okay. One big issue I did have with Iron Man 2
Yep.
was at the end when Whiplash does show up for the final fight. He looks too much like Ironmonger did in the first one.
Okay.
Like, it's just a very big suit.
Yeah.
Whereas he wasn't even in a suit, really. He was just wearing, like, a backpack with, like, 2 whippy arm things.
Yeah, true.
He wasn't even a suit when he fucking kicked Iron Man's ass on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Then he builds this big suit, and within 2 minutes, he just, like, entangles Rhodey, entangles Tony, and they blast together in the middle.
Yep.
And, yeah. The fight scene between Tony and Rhodey was kind of cool.
Okay. Yep.
Tony's having that house party, and Rhodey shows up and whips his ass and then walks off with the War Machine armor.
Yeah.
That part was cool. Just seeing the two of them duke it out. You know, just 2 guys in suits just punching the shit out of each other.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
And Rhodey kind of putting Tony in check for being an asshole.
Yeah.
But, and this movie also did introduce the Black Widow.
Yeah, that's true.
And this, like, the way they introduced her is much better than how they introduced Hawkeye, because yeah, she doesn't really do a whole lot until the end when she, like, actually suits up and, like, Happy's like, hey, I took down this one guy, and then it like shows all the guys that she's after, like, knocking down and stringing up and everything.
Yeah.
That was cool, but in the beginning part where she was just Natasha, I mean, that was good because it showed, like, she's a spy.
Yep.
like, she was playing this character and able to infiltrate, like, Stark's inner circle.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is one of her characteristics she's known for.
Mm-hmm.
So that was displaying that pretty well. So that's why I put it above some of these other movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
Justin Hammer was just kind of like, I love Sam Rockwell, and he plays zany characters well, but I just kind of wanted to hit Justin Hammer with a guitar. Like, just break a guitar on his head.
Jeff Jarrett style.
Yep.
I think a lot of people are going to disagree with my next choice.
Let's hear it.
Like a lot of people. My pick for number 12 is The Avengers.
The first one?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. I know.
For number 12?
Number 12.
Okay, I gotta hear your reasoning.
I don't really have much reasoning. Like, I don't have anything specific about this movie, but I watched it in theater and I really enjoyed it. But since then, every time I go back to watch it, I don't know, I can't enjoy it, and I don't know why. I have not been able to enjoy this movie once since it was in theater. Like, some of the scenes when I watch them, for some reason, just look really cheap, and they kind of take me out of it. Like the scene in the park, it looks like cosplayers to me, and I'm not really sure why, because I didn't see it that way when I first saw it. But I don't.
The scene in the park?
Sorry, they're in the woods or whatever. The scene where Iron Man fights Thor.
Oh, after they capture Loki and Thor shows up and takes him off the ship.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. This is not one I can.
Yeah, that scene definitely seems out of place. Like, they could have found a better way to do that.
Yeah. Again, I don't actually see any flaws. I do not think it's a bad movie, but I don't enjoy it. I really don't enjoy The Avengers.
I mean, I have my issues with it. A few minor ones.
Well, for one, I think I'm not sure if the Chitauri were the best choice for the big invasion, but that's just me.
If I want to see an invasion in a Marvel movie, I want to see Skrulls.
Exactly. And not saying they needed Skrulls for the first movie like that, but
yeah,
maybe even the Kree or something, you know, like a more, a little bit more fan service. Like, Chitauri just aren't that, I don't know. They
aren't as known.
Exactly.
I feel you.
But that's not even my issue. I don't know. I inexplicably cannot enjoy this movie, and that's why I had to put it there.
Okay. Is that it for your number 12?
Yeah, I assume yours is probably in the top 8 for you somewhere.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, what's your number 11?
My number 11 is the first Iron Man.
Okay. I've got that one at 9, so it's not too far off.
So, I have all 3 Iron Man movies in, the bottom 6.
I've got them in the bottom 8. They're not...
And yet, Iron Man is the most popular one.
Yep. We agree on that one. The first Iron Man is the best Iron Man.
The first Iron Man is the best Iron Man. Iron Man is the most popular character in the Avengers. Like, everyone loves him, and he gets the most screen time. He's in the most movies.
I think that's because they're paying Robert Downey Jr. so much they can't afford to not.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, like, I know so many people who just, like, lose their shit when Iron Man shows up. But his standalone films are not the best.
Yep. And my 12 to 9, they went back and forth. So Iron Man I have at 9, but it's been as low as 12 when I've been doing this list.
Yeah.
I think
I'm going to try and use like a food analogy to summarize Iron Man.
Okay.
Iron Man to me is like granola.
All right.
Like, you put granola in with a parfait or something like that, it's delicious. But I would never just take a handful of granola and eat it by itself. Just dry granola.
Fair enough.
You put it in with some yogurt, you add some berries, you got yourself a delicious snack. But just a handful of dry granola, I will never eat that.
So what you're saying is that Iron Man works better in the Avengers group movies?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I think that analogy works for me too. Because I don't really like yogurt or berries. So that's why Iron Man goes higher than Avengers for me, because I like the standalone stuff better than the team up movies.
I enjoy my team up movies and stuff like that. The Iron Man movies, now, whenever I'm sick, when I get sick, one of my go-to movies to watch is the first Iron Man. I watch it on the couch, A, because, like, I don't hate the movie, but B, it's something I can fall asleep to when the cold meds kick in.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard, not as good as Don Cheadle.
No.
At being Rhodey, but we can ignore that.
No.
Because he still did a good job.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, when they recast Rhodey, I was like, oh, there's an actor like I know I enjoy.
Yeah, true.
So, you know, I was unexcited when I seen the new Rhodey. Jeff Bridges, he's a menacing guy. His Ironmonger suit was But, I mean, Jeff Bridges had nothing to do with that.
I think my biggest complaint about Iron Man, although it's not much of a complaint, is I like the first half better than the last half.
Yeah.
I like the Iron Man origin story.
It's the opposite of Captain America in that way, for me.
Yeah.
Whereas Captain America, like, the first half, like, not even so much the first half, like, when he's still skinny and stuff like that, I enjoy the movie. But once he gets his super serum and Mrs. like fawns over him and she like almost touches him but then like recoils her hand like it's a fucking hot stove, and she's just like basically drooling over, ooh, he's tall and has muscles now.
Yeah.
Ooh. Like from that point up until like near like the later part of the movie, it's just kind of for me. Whereas with Iron Man, like the beginning of the movie, like he gets blown up, there's all kinds of shit happening while he's in the cave with Jensen, and he builds the suit, and like with like parts he's telling them he's building them a missile with, and like the whole escape from the cave part, like that's all great. When he comes back and he's first like, yeah, I need to fucking sort some shit out and stop selling weapons. Like, I think the movie goes downhill after that first time he comes to that village as like the new polished Iron Man and whips Smash.
Yeah.
That's the part where the movie starts to go downhill. Like that's still a good scene, but after that it's kind of like,
I don't think it goes too far downhill. Like, it doesn't turn into a bad movie. It's just the second half, I'm always wishing that it was as good as the first.
Yeah, like, it doesn't, like, drop off in quality and everything like that, but it is a gradual taper.
Okay, yeah. So that was your number 11?
Yes. But, like, that's the thing, like, by the time it gets to the part where I'm like, okay, I wish the second half was as good as the first half, the cold meds have usually kicked in on us, and I'm asleep.
Yeah, true.
I get to watch the first half of the movie, which is the better half of the movie, while I'm waiting for the cold meds to knock me out.
We should have ranked these movies by halves. My number 11, I'm really not sure. Like, I don't know where you stand on this one at all. Age of Ultron.
Okay.
And I do like this movie. It's not like I don't have any problem with it. It's just where it ended up falling.
Yeah.
I really like a lot of the stuff they did in this movie. I love the Hulkbuster fight. I love the inclusion of Vision and Scarlet Witch. I absolutely fucking love James Spader as Ultron.
Yep.
I think there was maybe a little too much in the movie. Maybe if it was cut down, it would be higher. Like, it's getting to the point in the list where I don't really have that many complaints.
Yeah. You're just basing it on having less high points.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the party scene with the introduction of Ultron. I think that's one of my more favorite scenes in the MCU.
Yeah.
But as for complaints, I don't know. Again, a little too much. The ending doesn't really stand out as anything amazing to me. Not that it was bad. It's just not one of my favorite endings in the MCU. Did this one make your bottom 8 or your top 8?
Top.
Top? Okay. Well, in that case, we'll save your thoughts on it for the next episode and move on to your number 10.
My number 10, and see, this is where I am running into movies that I very much enjoyed, and it was starting to get difficult for me.
Yeah.
This is where, like, the top 10 is where I was like, I really like all of these movies, and it was like, but which one do I like more?
Yep.
And for number 10, I had to go with The Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
It actually hurt me to put this movie so low.
Yeah, that one made my top 8, but
yeah, and I completely understand why.
It's a great movie.
It is a fantastic movie, and I enjoy Mark Ruffalo, but I enjoy Edward Norton a lot in this movie. And the whole, like, just him being on the run and, like, trying to keep the Hulk contained and trying to find a cure for it, and it just felt kind of reminiscent of, like, the classic Incredible Hulk, like, show.
Yeah, for sure.
But being updated. Like, I felt it paid homage to that, and I've heard some people say that they didn't like him, but I enjoyed The Abomination.
Oh, me too.
He was an excellent counterpart to Hulk.
Yep.
And Tim Roth was good as Emil Blonsky.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the scene where, like, Hulk, like, really hulks out for the first time at the college and starts, like, just taking down these Humvees and shit like that. And you have this super soldier Blonsky who's almost holding his own against the Hulk.
Yep.
That scene was like, holy shit. and that was the second movie in the MCU, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because they
it
put out Iron
and
Man and the Hulk in the same year.
Yeah. So to have, like, such badass scenes so early in the MCU, like, when they first corner him in that overpass and they're, like, shooting the gas in, and it's, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then, like, Betty's running and she's like, Bruce, and, like, elbows the one soldier in the face, and, like, then another one, like, kind of tackles her to the ground. And you're like, it's coming, and, like, you could just feel it building.
Yep.
And you're just waiting for him to Hulk out. And just that being, like, the cherry on top that fucking pushed him over the edge, and all of a sudden he's big and he's green and he's just destroying shit, which is exactly what you want in a Hulk movie. Like, it's so good. And then, like, Chopper's coming down and he protects her, and Ty Burrell, like, looking at Thunderbolt Ross and being like, I used to wonder why she never talked about you, but now I know, and, like, saying that he actually trusted this big green monster to protect Betty more than her own father. Oh, this movie is just so good. It actually hurt me to put it as number 10.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I'll leave my thoughts for the next episode because that one's in my top 8.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you got to say about it.
So I already said my number 9 was Iron Man, so I've only got the one left here.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna disagree big time on this one.
For your number 10?
Yep.
Alright.
Captain America Civil War.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
That one almost went down to 12.
Wow.
I was back and forth on that one a lot. And the main reasoning is I'm very conflicted on this movie. This movie does a lot for fan service. I mean, you've got a ton of Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and he's so good. You get the introduction of Black Panther. You get Ant-Man going Giant Man. I mean, and there's so much that they do right that I love, but I feel like the best parts of this movie can be shown as clips, and that the actual, like, the whole experience of watching the movie, I feel like there's a lot of lulls. Like, for me, I think they did a fucking shit job with Baron Zemo. I didn't enjoy anything about that. I think his motives and his master plan were convoluted and kind of stupid. But, and I almost put it...
I'll agree and disagree with that.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I didn't like what they did with Zemo. I wasn't big on the ending. Basically everything after the airport fight wasn't that big a deal to me. I mean, the three-way fist fight between Winter Soldier and Cap and Iron Man was pretty cool, but I don't know. As a movie, like as a one solid movie, I'm not big on it, but I couldn't put it that low just because of the Tom Holland Spider-Man and the Black Panther and the Giant Man and all the other shit like that they did. So I'm really conflicted on it because there's some of the stuff they did in this movie were some of my favorite scenes and pieces from the MCU ever, but then like half the movie is stuff that I would just honestly skip over. So, and then,
I mean, I had my issues with it, and I'll get into it more when I talk about it, but my issues with this movie were far outweighed by the positive points.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really back and forth for me. On the first time I did the list, it went as high as like 6 or 7, and the second time I did the list, after rewatching it, it was down to 12. So it could be like, it's one of those things where I don't think it would be in the same place if I did this list a year from now. As of right now, I'm a little more focused on how much I didn't like what they did with Baron Zemo. And if I'm ranking them as movies, like as one viewing experience, it's not above a lot of these solo ones for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have all 3 movies that have team-ups in your bottom 8.
And that's why I like I find with the solo movies, they're a little more concise. It's a little less convoluted story-wise, and they're not trying to cram too many characters in there.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you probably could have took a lot of that Tom Holland Spider-Man stuff and added maybe an extra 20 minutes on the Homecoming, but you know, that's the real like saving point for me and why it still made the top 10. If they didn't have all that Spider-Man stuff, it wouldn't be close to 10 for me.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I did have my issues with it, but in my opinion, like the way I felt about it, like the issues were like one step back.
Yeah.
But all the pros were like 8 steps forward.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the cons weren't enough to drag it down like that for me. Like, do I think they could have done a better Zemo? Yes. Do I think like he could have been closer to the comics? Yes. But there was also something I kind of liked about this team of nearly unbeatable heroes, like Earth's mightiest, being taken down and torn apart by a guy that had nothing overly special about him.
Yeah.
There was something kind of cool about seeing, like, God, like, people who are basically God, being humbled by a mere man. He didn't have a power suit. He didn't have any superpowers. He was just a guy with a vendetta.
So that's my thing. If he is just a guy, why'd they even bother to call him Zemo? I don't know why you would waste a great villain on a character that could have been anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of hope that they do come back to him and somehow find a way to make him more like the comics.
I also think his plan.
He could just be he's just in prison somewhere.
Yeah. I think his plan didn't really make sense. Like, I get the sentiment of tearing apart a team from within. I get the sentiment, but what did he think was really going to happen? Did you think that they would get to a point where they would kill each other? Because, like, best case scenario, his plan was going to end up with slightly fewer Avengers on the team, I guess. Even if his plan worked, it was never actually going to destroy the team.
They're still kind of splintered, though, because, I mean, like, even though at the end Cap does kind of, like, say to Tony, like, no hard feelings, like, if you need me, I'm still there, because, you know, he has to come back for Infinity War.
Yeah.
But at the end, you still have Cap going and busting those guys out of jail. Like, they're still a fractured team. Like, they're still split up. They're still divided. And so the Avengers are kind of split up into these two factions still at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they still don't see eye to eye. Technically, like, they even say it in Spider-Man Homecoming, like, I'm pretty sure this guy's a war criminal now. Like,
yeah.
at the end of this movie, Captain America, who used to be the leader of the Avengers, who used to be like the moral high ground, is a fugitive.
Yeah.
And he's taking a handful of Avengers with him.
True. But they are still all superheroes who do want to save the world. And
yeah.
So like, and not just that, but he was angry about his family being killed by the aftermath of a battle, so he created the situation where there would be more of those battles, I guess. I'm not really, like, if you really break down his plan, it's there's a lot of holes in it.
There is.
I don't know. I feel like if they could have done the movie more Civil War based and less just if they took Zemo out of it, you could have still had a, in my opinion, better movie.
It's true. I mean,
that's
we could have gotten away with Zemo just being named Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's my take on it. But what do you? I guess you're number 9 now, eh? And that'll be the last one.
Yeah, it's my last one for this list.
And that's the last.
Although you have me rethinking where I have Civil War placed on.
Oh yeah.
In the top 8 now.
I've convinced you a little bit.
Yeah, I might do a quick rearrange of my top 8 before we record that.
You're gonna lash out and put it at number 1 now.
No, not necessarily.
Just gonna fight back. No.
No, I'm thinking I might actually move it lower on the list than I had it. But for my number 9, I had the Avengers.
The Avengers, really? Okay.
Yeah,
huh.
The first one.
I expected it would be higher for you.
I could have been, but again, not like some of my issues with this movie revolve around Iron Man.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Like the scene where Tony and Bruce are in the lab and Tony just like starts jabbing Bruce with sharp things.
Oh yeah.
Just to see if he could get him to change.
Yeah.
Like, what happens if Bruce actually hulks out in that scene? Like, I know they're not going to write it that way because why would they? But what if Bruce had actually turned into the Hulk there just as a reaction to Tony stabbing him? Like, as a reflex.
Yeah, I don't know if
Tony doesn't have his Iron Man suit on. At that point, he doesn't have the fucking, like, this is still at the point in the story where he has to physically step into the suit.
Yep.
He doesn't yet have, like, the implants or anything like that where he can just, like, wave his hand and the suit will come to him. Like, if he had hulked out there, Tony would have been dead.
Yeah.
And Tony's still just playing with him.
Yeah. Not to mention they were in a pretty confined space. So if he had hulked out...
They're in a very confined space. They're in a small lab where Thor's head almost hits the ceiling.
And I'm pretty sure... I don't think that small lab is too far from the exterior of the ship either.
Yeah.
So they probably would have breached the whole thing and killed everybody, but...
But, you know, it was just a joke to Tony.
Yeah.
And the whole, like, that guy's playing Galaga part was a bit,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's been a while.
I mean, I did enjoy this movie for, like, it gave us, like, it's like, it actually kind of made Thanos visible.
Yeah.
It put Thanos on our radar. It actually gave us Hawkeye instead of just showing him.
I do think that the one of the opening scenes with Black Widow, I think that's still probably the best Black Widow scene we've gotten yet. where she's tied to the chair and that whole thing. I still think to this day it's the best.
It's like, it's giving me everything.
Yeah.
Like, that was great. The whole scene with, like, her and Banner in, where was it, India?
Yeah, I think so.
Was trying to convince Bruce to come help them.
Yep.
That shot from, like, the little jet thing, like, where Hawkeye, like, shoots out the side of the carrier.
Yeah.
Like, how he, like, shoots it so the air current takes it and, like, it hits exactly where he wants it to hit. Like, that was fantastic. The scene where Hawkeye goes and, like, where he looks at Loki and he's like, I need an eyeball. And Loki, like, throws the dude down and, like, puts the thing on his face and, like, takes his eye.
Yeah.
That scene was fantastic. There were a lot of really good scenes in this movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which is why I put it above The Incredible Hulk. There were a few funny scenes, like when Bruce is waking up after Hulk crash lands back down to Earth, and he's just like, I can't remember the actor's name, but the security guard's like, son, I believe you have a condition. Like, that was hilarious. I love that part. And it was really nice to see Tony put in check and humble. When, like, Cap is saying, like, you're never the guy who would lay down and, like, be willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. And then he ends up very nearly sacrificing himself. Like, he puts himself up in the wormhole, throws the bomb in there, and barely makes it out.
Maybe what you were saying about the scene where he was poking, like, stabbing Bruce, maybe that kind of plays into the same idea where this movie, this whole experience was very much a learning experience for Tony Stark, and he matures over the course of the movie.
He does. But there's other parts in the MCU where I just kind of get irritated with Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'll touch on when I talk about fucking Civil War and Age of Ultron. But yeah, like, I very much enjoy the Avengers movie. I'm struggling right now to think of bad things to say about it, like negative parts.
I know, I know I put it low, but I don't really have that much negative feedback for it. It's just I have trouble enjoying it like I used to. I can't. I don't know. I don't really enjoy it that much to sit down and watch it. And I don't really know why.
It's because some of the other movies we've gotten, like Guardians and movies like that, are just so fucking good that they just cast a shadow on these other good movies. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you don't want to call something better just because it's newer, but Marvel have really just been getting better and better.
Yeah, they've really stepped things up because they're learning from their mistakes, they're seeing where their successes are coming from, and they're improving and growing because of that.
Yep. Well.
So, yeah, I'm not saying any of these are bad movies, they're just not as good.
No, for sure.
Some of these are still good, they're just not as great.
Yeah.
Because some of the other movies are fucking fantastic.
Oh my god, yes.
Like the Fantastic Four.
Yes, Fan-4-Stick.
That's a fucking joke.
Yeah. That's a different episode altogether.
Yup. We could do a 2-hour episode just on, like, if we did an episode on everything that's wrong with the Fantastic Four, would either be 2 hours or 2 seconds, depending on whether we wanted to actually describe everything or just sit down and say the word everything.
Yeah. Maybe we should do an audio commentary.
You want to do an audio commentary of Fan 4 Stick?
Yeah, that would be fun, actually.
I think that would be really fun.
We're gonna have to get into doing audio commentaries at some point.
Yes, we will.
And we should focus on just bad superhero movies.
Yep.
Maybe I'll finally watch Catwoman.
No.
I haven't seen it.
I'm vetoing that because I love watching bad movies and tearing them apart, but that is where I draw the line.
It's that bad?
I haven't even finished it. I've seen bits and pieces, and those are enough to make me say no to the whole fucking movie.
Okay, fine. Ban a Hulk.
I'll watch that.
Yeah. It's been... I haven't seen that in fucking years, but... yeah, why not?
Yeah. We can do audio commentary of Eric Bana Hulk. We can do Spider-Man 3, Fan 4 Stick.
How about this? How about anyone listening, comment below and let us know what you'd like to hear us do an audio commentary of. Doesn't have to specifically be a bad superhero movie. It could be anything.
Yep.
And whenever we get around to giving that a shot, we'll
even do rom-coms.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Fuck it.
Let's do...
There's some romantic comedies that I really like.
Yeah, for sure. Let's.
I enjoy some Crazy Stupid Love.
That's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I remember me and you watched it one year when I was home for Christmas.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw it. So yeah, what were we talking about? Marvel? I guess that wraps up today's episode. That's our bottom 8 of the MCU.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week with... Well, it's not next week for us right now because we're pre-recording this episode. This is being recorded prior to our Punisher Justice League review, which hopefully we'll have up in the next week or so.
Yes, because today is currently Thursday, the day before Punisher and Justice League.
Mm-hmm. So, hopefully, if all goes according to plan, Punisher Justice League review will be up next week. The week after, we'll actually release this. And then, I guess, within the next 3 weeks...
3.5 months later, we will review our top 8.
By the time we actually get around to reviewing our top 8, there will be 8 more Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So, I guess part 3. Thank you all for... Well, thanks both of you for tuning in today. And as always, you can check out other episodes of Jedi Dropouts and the assorted side projects. What's the word? Spin-offs. There you go. Over at www.jedidropouts.podbean.com. You can check us out on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, or you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And thanks for dropping by.
Something drop out.
I guess.
Yep.
Later.
Peace.